license plate. They say it all the time. It's the mahalo that I was like, oh, that's right. They got a different thank you here, too. And as always, we say mahalo. So welcome back to Super Producer Brenden. How we doing? Rested and relaxed, or the time shift got you off? Well, you gained the hours, though. Does that make you more tired or less tired? I always get screwed up on that. Like the bettors, they're like, oh, traveling from East Coast. I always forget which one makes you more tired.
Yeah.
Which one are you at? Are you all screwed up? Are you all jacked up on your sleep?
Not
because it's 3 a.m. where you were for the last week.
Or the fact that there were at least 4 or 5 times I was awake when this show began. Yeah.
Yeah, buddy.
So, there you go. But no, it was.
Oh, you were out partying your face off in Hawaii?
I mean, it's kind of nice. The beaches only close from 3 to 5 a.m. So.
What are you doing at the beach at 2:30 in the morning?
Partying. You know how
they got beach parties out there?
You know.
You create your own beach party?
Walking the beach and whatnot. But no, Hawaii doesn't really close. It's kind of nice. It's a little like Vegas in that regard where, like, you know, you have, like, your restaurants and stuff closed down for a little bit, but, like, it's just such a short gap. And, again, it's real nice, Justin, to be in a place where it's, like, you know, the low is, like, 76 at night where you're like, yeah, it's nice to walk outside. But no, and
then you come back and you're like, hey, maybe I'll go down to Goss Stadium. Maybe I'll head down to Corvallis and watch the Beavs and maybe watch them try to punch their ticket to a super regional. And you're like, oh, it's an atmospheric river.
I brought it back with me, Justin, but no. I got back Friday night late, so it was nice to have Saturday and Sunday to kind of readjust because definitely yesterday I'm like, oh, wow. I'm like not hungry and it's dinner time. That makes sense. So, yeah, totally feeling good this morning, refreshed, happy to be back here.
Did you have the Kahlua pig?
No pig.
No Kahlua pork?
So
did you have the huli chicken? Now, yes. I might just be mentioning things that are on the menu at Local Boys and Hawaiian Time, and maybe that's not actually real Hawaiian plate lunch, but I know about the Kahlua pig and the huli chicken.
Nothing.
And the poo-poo platter and the moco loco.
But
that's hamburger. You don't do the hamburgers.
No, I mean there were a couple places we went for like a nicer dinner, but for the most part it's pretty standard food because we decided to spend more on excursions and stuff. So I got to go snuba diving for the first time.
So people might think you said the wrong thing there, and it's not true because snuba is I learned this because I remember the first time I heard it. I'm like, no, it's scuba, and I'm like, no, idiot, it's snuba. All right, it's not a self-contained underwater breathing apparatus. It's above you. It's a snuba. It's an actual, like, I think you mean scuba, my friend.
But yeah, that was.
How was that? Did you see like sea turtles and stuff?
Oh yeah, I have some pictures. I'll have to show you because they let us take a GoPro down there with us and get them completely underwater. Easily top 5 coolest things I've ever done in my life. Being able to breathe underwater, folks. Like, if it's not for everybody, I'll say that.
Because you don't like. I know like. I've looked
incredible.
into scuba. I've never been scuba diving before. I've also never been snuba diving either. I've been snorkeling. But I remember, like, the scuba was, like, you have to take, like, a whole class. And it's a whole day of thing. And because you can really get jacked up if you don't know what you're doing with the scuba. The snuba is, like, you take, like, an hour, right?
Yes.
And they're like, hey, just, like, breathe in, breathe out. Things above you.
Yeah, they just kind of teach you.
Get in trouble, go to the top.
Pretty much. They just kind of teach you how the basics of it. Like, I had never worn a regulator before in a non-pool setting and been like, oh, you can just go and sit on the bottom of this little bay and, you know, breathe underwater.
Because I would imagine.
It's very freeing.
I would imagine, like, it's got to play tricks with your brain at first because your brain has been told your entire life you go underwater, you hold your breath.
Yes.
And it's like, no, don't hold your breath, dude.
Yeah, no, it's trippy, man. It really was. Like, like I said, just having it where you're like, oh, I can breathe underwater. I can knock this thing out of my mouth and not like, you know this, just there's a lot of people that, and I didn't know until you get in there, you might panic when you're under, like, you just, it's kind of like how people have fear of flying, right? It's a very unique thing, but I'll say that's coolest thing I did and top 5 coolest things all time.
So we got the snuba diving, we got the partying on the beach till 3 a.m. But super producer Brenden is now back from his Hawaiian vacation. Might have thought about maybe taking a trip to Corvallis, but it got rained out. So all right, I saw some stuff, and I was watching the Oregon game last night, which they were in Santa Barbara. No worries about rain down at the Santa Barbara Regional. as Oregon punched their ticket. They're going back to the Super Regionals, not hosting this year, but still heading to the Super Regionals. Back-to-back years for the Oregon Ducks heading to the Super Regionals, so tip of the cap to them. The winners get the sprinkles. So yesterday, it was clearly raining all day. Now, it sounds like it maybe hit Corvallis and the Mid-Willamette Valley just a little bit harder than it hit my Southeast Portland neighborhood, because now my old school 1990s Oregon high school baseball and junior college baseball brain, Brenden, says, we could play through this. What are you talking? They got turf out there, for crying out loud. You just throw some Diamond Dry on the mound, throw it around the plate. I don't even think they have dirt around the plate, right?
They don't. Corvallis is completely turf.
The only thing they have dirt is the mound, correct?
No, not even the mound.
Not even the mound.
No, that's how they were able to play 4 innings through a downpour yesterday.
So my old school, I've played through worse, but it sounds like it was getting a bit out of hand. But I saw some chatter on the internet where apparently UC Irvine was doing a little whining and complaining, because now I could understand if you're UC Irvine and you're like, for the love of God, it's June. What is this? Could you imagine being a kid from California who probably has only been in California and all you have ever known is California baseball? And sure, maybe you went on a couple of road trips in your life, a couple of van trips, but now you go and it's June. It's June. And you're like, what is this? Because it is freezing. We got our parkas on. I can't hold the base. Does it sound like there was a little bit of whining?
There was,
from
what I could tell, too. And, when you're up against elimination and, it's, I don't want to say it's human nature, Justin, but, I don't even want to say gamesmanship. But, if you're UC Irvine, what do you have to lose?
Yeah, exactly.
Complaining about, because, right? You're like, well, if Oregon State wins this, we're out.
Yeah, so
So
I'm with them.
Maybe it's a little bit of gamesmanship. We're like, hey, we're not, and I don't agree with it. Oregon State's hosting, but from what I can tell.
Yeah, you don't like it, win a couple more games, and then you host it, and then that game's being played in Irvine. Or maybe, I don't know, put up a couple extra bleachers in your stadium, and you might be,
it's possible.
You might be able to host a regional, because it sounds like it came down to the 3,000 seats that UC Santa Barbara had, more than UC Irvine. That was kind of the other potential West Coast spot. But regardless, there's nothing better than Pacific Northwest people getting into arguments with California people.
I love it.
We love because we don't. Let's be honest. We don't get to call a lot of people soft when it comes to weather. If you're completely on, if we are all checking in with, now I'm not talking about the Central and the Eastern Oregon people. All right, those people, rugged ranchers. I'm talking about us here in the Valley. We don't get to call people from the Midwest soft because we can't drive in the snow. We can't. We don't get to call people from Texas soft because they have 47 days over 100 degrees. It gets around 85, we start complaining, right? We don't get to call people from Florida soft because they have hurricanes, and we don't.
And crazy animals.
Crazy animals that will kill you. So we don't, as a Pacific Northwest crew, we don't get to call a lot of people soft. Oh, but the Californians, they are our prime weather bully targets. And what? It's not even raining hard yet. This is just a little but it sounded like it got a little. It got too much.
Oh, yeah, they were...
Couldn't dry off the baseballs.
Yeah, pitchers that were plunking guys, and then the announcers are like, is that intentional? And you're like, no, it's just literally pouring.
Wet.
I don't know, Justin, you know better than I how hard it is to grip a baseball when it's coming down, pouring down rain. And it's not easy.
I will say this, too, the turf is great because you are able to, if it does, in fact, rain, you could, hey, to the dugouts, let's let this pass. Once it passes, boom. But as it's actively raining, the turf makes it kind of tough because it holds that water on top. And so you get one bounce and the ball is like you dunked it in a bucket of water. And anybody that's thrown a baseball that's been dunked in a bucket of water knows that I don't care, how much you work the baseball in. So So a little bit of drama there, but now we get noon baseball down in Corvallis.
On a Monday, nonetheless.
And hopefully it's supposed to stop raining about the time we wrap up here. So I believe it looks like they're going to get in. I will save my complaint with college baseball umpires for later on in the show, but goodness gracious, do we have to have a committee? Worse than all staff meetings in corporate America are college baseball umpires. So we will dive into that. We are just a handful of days until the NBA Finals, and Brenden sent me an article going back and taking the Kings and the Suns. How are they feeling about not drafting Luka Doncic right now? Is this slowly but surely adding up to one of those big misses in the NBA draft? Plus, we are 90 days from college football kickoff on August the 31st. So we shall continue our college football countdown and head on campus. But before we get to all that, I do want to tell you about DeBella. That's right, Oregon's home improvement experts. And they specialize in roofing, siding, windows, bath renovations. Hey, how's your roof holding up with the atmospheric river? Now that June is here, it's a great time to take care of all those projects around your home. DeBella, they'll come to you on your schedule and provide you with a free estimate. Easy. You can trust my good friends at DeBella. Why? 15,000 five-star reviews. That's why. And now DeBella has that fantastic financing promotion. No payments until 2025. That's on approved credit. So connect with DeBella today for roofing, siding, windows, bath projects. DeBella is Oregon's home improvement expert. All right, in the coming weeks here in the NBA world, we clearly have the NBA Finals. They start on Thursday. But something else that is unique about the NBA is that once the finals wrap up, we are just in a couple of weeks away from the draft. I think the draft happens. We're 3 weeks away, I believe, from the NBA draft. I probably should know this. Blazers probably prominent fixtures coming up in the NBA draft. So it is one of the unique things, right? After the Super Bowl, we get a little bit of a breather. The Super Bowl ends in February, and we get to go through March Madness and then the Masters, and then, hey, NFL draft and NBA Finals, and boom, right into the NBA draft. And according to one NBA executive, and this is from Mark Stein, the Stein line. Brenden sent this to me this morning. Very early, by the way, you sent this to me this morning. Appreciate the go-getiveness. I don't know if that's a thing, but I just created it. Mark Stein says, as put to me by an admiring rival executive who had been marveling at Luka Doncic's play throughout these playoffs, watching intently as Luka repeatedly punishes defenses that are trying to wear him down. Drafting DeAndre Ayton over Luka Doncic may one day be as bad as Bowie over Jordan. Now, fair warning for the next 18 minutes, because my Jordan homerism shall show itself, and my I am 44, nothing is ever going to be better than Michael Jordan ever is going to show itself. Is that all on the record? We've got that laid down on the record. Got it. But this it's an interesting take because of a couple of reasons. One, we have seen something fascinating over the last 4 years in the in the NBA. For the last 4 years, according to me, other media members, content creators, I should say, Brenden, we've had 4 different best players in the world. By the way, breaking news, NFL, Justin Jefferson's getting a boatload of money from the Minnesota Vikings. Just saw that pop up. We may dive into that. I'm sure we're going to hit that for Make or Miss. You love talking about Justin Jefferson, for one. And two, he just got a 4-year, $140 million deal. $110 million of it is guaranteed. This is after Waddle got paid all that money. Man, who's throwing him? Sam Darnold?
What, your boy?
Or not Sam
J.J.
Darnold,
McCarthy?
but say that again?
Your boy, J.J. McCarthy.
J.J. McCarthy is going to be throwing him footballs.
Which we'll see.
Didn't they get like a secure? Didn't they get somebody else?
It was Darnold.
Oh, Sam Darnold was
right.
the,
Yeah,
okay.
I would be shocked.
So I was right then.
He starts over JJ.
But it's one of those where we're going to get back to Luka here in 1 second. I got NFL distracted. My bad. I'll bet you they do the, hey, we're going to start Sam like the first 3 weeks. Sam stinks. And they're like, all right, here's the rookie. Because that's, I think, the Steelers did it with Trubisky. They're like, hey, we're going to play Trubisky because, he's got the experience. And it's like, clearly he can't play. So the fans start clamoring for the rookie. And then when the rookie comes in, as Kenny Pickett did and threw, I think, 2 picks, they're like, but still, future. Anyways, more on that coming up in Make or Miss. So you go back to 2021. 2021, maybe they were right, maybe they were wrong. But in 2021, Giannis is the best player in the world. It was the summer of Giannis, as it should have been. He was dominating the playoffs. He dominated the finals, including DeAndre Ayton and those Phoenix Suns. And it was pretty much a done deal. Giannis is the best player in the world. He won the championship and went to Chick-fil-A. Remember that? Remember that whole thing? Then you got the one last rise of the Golden State Warriors, and they got to take their victory lap, and good for them. And then last year, Jokic is the best player in the world. And it's what we do in the NBA. It's what we do in all the sports, and I don't think it's wrong. but like, this is why we say winners get sprinkles on this show, because Jokic is still probably the best player in the world, but out of sight, out of mind. If the Dallas Mavericks win this series and Luka Doncic continues to play the way that Luka Doncic has been playing, Brenden, we may have the third best player in the world in the last 4 years in the NBA. By the way, all of which foreign-born players, none of which can be face of the league. More on that in a bit, because I think if there is ever a foreign-born player that can be a face of the league, I think Luka Doncic is going to be it. But we potentially have now another best player in the world. Let's just start with this right here. Brenden, your humble opinion. Has Luka surpassed Jokic as the best player in the NBA right now? Or does he got to win a ring and got to win a championship and got to do it in dominating fashion and take down the Celtics to do it?
He's not in the conversation yet because he doesn't have an MVP. Jokic has 3.
Yeah.
Right? So it's like not even 1, but 3.
Yeah.
And the title to boot. So no. But
can I be a bit of a stickler here? The MVP, and I'm not saying that Jokic should not have won all 3 of those MVPs, but there is a little bit of tarnish on the NBA MVP award because it becomes such a narrative award at times. But anyways, I see your point.
But no, yeah, I mean, ultimately, I think that, if you were to go win the title, it'd be an interesting conversation. But I still think that, there's that sense of, this is still Boston's to lose.
Mm-hmm.
So if somehow Dallas is able to get it done, I do think you have to put it up there because, Justin, it was just a year ago when these guys couldn't even get it figured out and tanked for Wemby. So, I mean,
yeah,
I think credit needs to be given to Luka. Jason Kidd, Kyrie Irving. It's just that team has gone on a run that I don't think anybody really saw coming with how stacked the West was. Back to Luka specifically, I do think he needs the ring to kind of get into that conversation.
So if we're having this conversation where, and I see what this NBA exec was saying, he's not saying it is as big of a miss because as we all can sit back and look, if we're all being completely honest, and I know for Blazer fans, it is tough to continue to bring up this memory, but sorry, somebody's got to have the worst miss in NBA history. Somebody's got to, and it just so happens that it's the Blazers, right? Somebody's got to have it. I can see where this NBA exec would kind of go that route, but to me, this is like Anthony Edwards was already being crowned 2 weeks ago as the next face of the NBA, right? And then Anthony Edwards, well, I think he played okay in that series. Karl Anthony Towns didn't show up, but all of a sudden now that talk has subsided a little bit. And so I think my point has always been, before we start with the Jordan comparisons in any way, shape, or form, which that's what this is. Now, it's not saying Anthony Edwards is the next Michael Jordan, but it is saying that Luka being missed by the Phoenix Suns might be as big as the Blazers missing on Jordan. That is a roundabout way of kind of saying, is Luka going to be the next Michael Jordan? It's a safe way of saying it. I would say let's let him win a championship first. But to me, I think it goes back to the bigger lesson when it comes to the draft. Because if you go back and let's redraft this. Phoenix Suns got the number 1 overall pick. They have got Devin Booker on the roster. Now, I know there's a lot of revisionist history. I'll be perfectly honest. Brenden, going into that NBA draft, I clearly knew who DeAndre Ayton was because he was the player of the year in basketball. He played in Pac-12, RIP. I watched him play in March Madness. I did not know who Luka Doncic was. I had no earthly idea who he was. Now, if you ask Mark Cuban said, hey, I've been tracking him since he was 15. And that's why they traded up to get him. They knew he was going to be like this. But let's just say it was pretty common knowledge that Luka was a huge talent, could potentially be an NBA All-Star. I still don't know if Phoenix drafts him because you've got Devin Booker on the team, right? And there was also the whole thing, like DeAndre Ayton was there in Arizona. He was right down the road. He was 2 hours away in Tucson. You can bring the Arizona Wildcats superstar, number 1 overall pick, bring him just right up the road. He plays in Phoenix, plug and play. We're starting to build a pretty young nucleus. Didn't work out for a lot of different reasons. I still am not ready to close the book on DeAndre Ayton. You know what I mean?
Neither am I. I don't think that's fair for how young he is. I think it's fair to close the book on Marvin Bagley. I think that one's probably fair.
But you look at the first 2 picks before Luka went, right? It was the Suns. Well, then we got Devin Booker, and it was the Kings, and the Kings had De'Aaron Fox. Did we know? Did they have Halliburton at the time?
Not yet.
They did not have Halliburton yet, but they had De'Aaron Fox, and so it's that age. Oh, well, we've already got. If you see somebody in the draft who you believe is special, you draft that guy. You draft that guy. Now, Brenden, I might be contradicting myself because isn't that what the Blazers did last year? The Blazers saw what they believe is an absolute superstar in Scoot Henderson. And I don't know if there are Blazer fans who are still on board with it. But by that logic, like, well, he's a special player. You weren't getting Wemby, clearly. You weren't going to get Miller because he went number 2. The Thompson twins, I don't see it. Maybe. You draft the best. Well, unfortunately, sometimes when you draft the best one available, then your superstar requests a trade, and now you're rebuilding again. But if you look back, I'm trying to think of, sadly, you know what the only other draft miss that is kind of comparable to this one that we're talking about with Luka? It's the Blazers again. It's the Kevin Durant thing. You know what I mean? Like that's the one. I think
that one's up there without a doubt. I mean,
I think first off, we should let Luka win a championship before we start throwing out all-time worst draft misses. Because I don't know if we'd have been having this conversation a year ago,
right,
when they were at best a play-in team in the West, and Luka looked like a whiny little baby. But obviously he's changed his whole thing from that run 2 years ago to the Western Conference Finals to now, and he looks like he's the best player left in the NBA right now.
I'll throw in one more. The year before, the 76ers and Lakers could have had Jason Tatum. I'll leave it at that.
So who did the 76ers take?
Markelle Fultz. First pick, Lonzo goes second.
And then Lonzo went second, yeah.
And Tatum 3. So imagine how much different the Lakers would feel if they had Jason Tatum right now. Or the 76ers if they had Jason Tatum with Joel Embiid. Oh, Nelly.
So let's talk about this for a moment, because we have had this conversation multiple times. The NBA is in a transition right now. It's in a transition. LeBron James who has been the face of the league. We're going to do the face of the league conversation. LeBron James has been the face of the league for the better part of 2 decades, right? It has been his. Yes, there was a handful of years where it was Kobe's league. There was a handful of years where it was Steph's league. But for the most part, really, for the last 20 years, it's been either LeBron, Steph, or Kobe. That's it. That's all. I can't think of anyone else on the list. And I know for those of you that are going to come at me with the Tim Duncan stuff, Tim Duncan was never the face of the league. There was a time where he was the best player in the league. He was never the face of the league. Was never the one that was propped up. Tim Duncan, it just wasn't it. He was incredibly good. That is not a slight on his basketball ability. He was not a superstar. He was a savant. You know, it's like, I've talked about this before. Have you ever seen like an opera singer and then you see a front man? There's an opera singer who is probably one of the best singers in the world. Then there's a rock star, right? Rock star's different. It's moxie. It's charm. X factors, variables, all those things. When you start talking about the face of the league, that's, to me, what I think you're talking about. There's a lot of people who appreciated what Tim Duncan did, but, Brenden, I don't think there were a lot of kids playing basketball in their driveway going like, I'm Tim Duncan, bank shot, Duncan.
No.
No.
Yeah.
But you know what they were doing? Steph. Kobe.
Perfect comparison, yes.
So we have kind of been in this assumption that maybe the face of the league has to be an American-born player. And after watching Luka, I mean, I've known how I've been kind of had a little basketball crush on Luka for a long, long time. I've talked about it on this show a ton. But I think the sports world really took note when he hit that step-back shot against Gobert. That is a moment. And if, in fact, they ultimately go on to win the championship, that step-back shot's going to be one of those highlight reel plays. Jordan, I'm doing Jordan comparisons, so, but the Jordan shot to beat the Cavs in, I believe, 89. With the 4 fist pumps. They didn't win the championship that year, but that was one of those like, oh, that guy. That's the moment in time. If he's not an American-born player, can Luka be the face of the league? I think if there ever was one, I think it's him. Because when you start talking about who is the face of the league, to me, the biggest determination is what I just said. Kids playing basketball at the park, in their driveway, middle school lunch break. Did you guys have basketball during middle school lunch break?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Who is pretending to be, like, who are the kids? For years, it was Steph. Why? Because anybody can chuck up a three. Now, you're not going to make them like Steph, but there are a lot of kids for a lot of times who was just like, yeah, I'm Steph, and you're like, I'm chucking up threes. You can do that. It's kind of relatable. You could try to do the Kobe fadeaway, the one that he interpolated from Michael Jordan. Like when I was a kid, that's all anybody ever wanted to try to shoot was Jordan fadeaways. Basketball coaches, it drove him nuts. Like, you aren't Jordan, you can't shoot that fadeaway. But coach, I got it. It's like, no, you can't shoot it. Nobody is trying to pass like Jokic. And nobody can be.
Most kids like to jump too, Justin.
Yeah, I would agree. But also, you also can't be the size of Giannis, right? Giannis is special because he is the Greek freak. I understand why everybody looks at the upcoming superstars in the league and everybody points to Anthony Edwards, because why? He's fun to watch and he plays a fun brand of basketball. When you put like do you have an adjustable hoop? We had one in our cul-de-sac, and when you put your adjustable hoop at about 7.5 feet, like, you want to try to be like a guy like Anthony Edwards. Luka might be it. If he goes off these finals, he might be anointed as best player in the world, which is what we do. But also, on top of that, Luka might become the face of the NBA.
He could.
He might be like, he is, and I understand the spirit that's intended. He's good looking. He's charming, right? Did you see like when he's got a little bit of they call it red. It starts with an A. I don't know if it's appropriate for 6:30 in the morning, but he's got a little red behind in him. You know what I mean? When he hit that shot over Gobert and he dropped the MFer and everybody was like, what did you say? He's like, nothing. I was speaking the Slovenian, I think. I was like, that's a star. That's a star right there. That guy is a star. So I don't know. I don't know if it has to be an American-born player to be the face of the league. I don't know.
And the other thing, Justin, that I think, just to wrap up this point, Luka is somebody who, to your point, you could have kids emulating in the driveway. Jokic,
Yeah.
we've said forever, is never going to be that player because he's not. Again, Jokic is probably the best basketball player in the world. But he's like, it's a job. I do this, right? It's like basketball is not everything Jokic eats, sleeps, and he just kind of does it like a job, right? Luka, I think people could kind of rally behind a little bit.
All right, coming up, we are going to continue our countdown to college football. Before that, I do want to let you know that Rip City Radio is keeping Ticket Tuesday. The winning streak is alive. Exclusive tickets at the Hillsboro Hops all season long. Listen to Rip City Drive each and every Tuesday afternoon. That's tomorrow for your chance to win and get your Hops tickets now at hillsborohops.com. On campus next, 620 Rip City Radio. All right, time to wrap up hour number 1. If my count is correct, I believe we are 90 days away. I believe we're 90 days away from college football kickoff 2024. And obviously a lot of stuff to look forward to with college football coming up. Even before the season kicks off, there's a video game that apparently has gotten a lot of buzz that everybody's excited about. When does that thing come out again?
Middle of July.
Middle of July. So that's when I'm going to lose you for like a good 2 weeks.
Yeah, I will be unreachable. Outside of the normal show hours, of course.
Even still, that's up in the air. Like during breaks, you might have a little like
during break.
I don't know. You might bring in like that was the beauty of the Nintendo though. Like I don't know how it works now with the whole new systems, these newfangled, but like the old school Nintendo, like you could take it it worked on every TV. Just like pop it in. But can you like just move your?
I mean, you can move it. It's just a
HD?
pain. It's just a pain. It probably weighs 10, 15 pounds.
Got it.
Yeah.
Is it going? And you got to get it through a Wi-Fi probably. And
yeah. So yeah, it's easier just to stay stationary. But yeah, no, it's to say I'm excited, Justin's an understatement.
Well, apparently there is a glitch. There is a glitch that they have realized in one of the trailers to College Football 25, plus other college football news and notes as we are 90 days away. It is time to go on campus. All right, we found it, and you knew it because you can't just have nice things in this world, right? We can't just be excited about a game that's been gone for nearly a decade. Texas State, they're upset. That's right. Apparently, in one of the trailers, Texas State's Bobcat Stadium in San Marcos, Texas, appears to be missing a second level. And I'll tell you what, of all the stadiums to not get right, Bobcat Stadium in San Marcos, Texas, I think is what we would like to call small potatoes. Now, from what I understand, and again, Brenden, you can help me out here because you are an expert in this video game as I don't play it. The small schools actually do play a bigger role than you would think because, now again, I don't play the game, so if I'm sounding like a big dumb doofus, I understand. Because you go into like, is it dynasty mode? Where you start off as a coach at like a place like Texas State, right?
Sure.
So apparently that's why these video game nerds are going all over the internet going like, you forgot Bobcat Stadiums. Like, all right. Have you seen Bryant-Denny Stadium? That one looks right. So we got that one. What are you worried about? But apparently it's because of the whole dynasty mode and you start off at the small schools.
I think it's one of those things where it's not, it's not going to be perfect.
I know.
And, I think.
It's just like we can't have nice things because the internet has to throw fit over everything.
Yeah, honestly, would I have not bought the game if they had Reeser before the renovation? No. That's silly. So it's like, I'm sorry, at the end of the day, people should just get what you get and don't throw a fit and be happy it's here. That would be
so fun, though. And I don't know if these video games nerds, how hard it would be to figure out. Probably be very difficult. But wouldn't that be very funny to, go, throwback? And you could play, at Parker Stadium, 1994?
Cool. That'd be cool.
Or Autzen Stadium, first year when it had grass?
That'd be cool.
Do you have Autzen Stadium had grass for 2 years?
No. I don't know if I knew that or not.
It's a real thing. Had grass. AstroTurf didn't come out for a while. All right. Speaking of stadiums, I saw this last week, thought it was pretty cool. So Northwestern is going to be building themselves a brand new football stadium. And as Oregon State fans know, even when you're building just a half a stadium, it takes some time. It really is going to it's not a speedy process to build yourself. And apparently Northwestern is building themselves a brand new stadium. So they will have a temporary football facility for the next 2 years. And they put some renderings up. And at first it looks pretty JV. But then I was like, Brenden, for Northwestern, I kind of dig it. They have a football field that is essentially got two big bleachers in the different end zones. I think it's only going to hold about like 15,000 people. It's not going to be very many people at all.
It's basically what, and this is apropos reference,
Mm.
basically what Hawaii's doing right now. So when I went to Aloha Stadium, got closed in 2019, the Hawaii Rainbow Warriors, as they should still be called.
Okay.
I'm just kidding.
Oh, boy, let's not start an internet fight.
But no, it's, or weren't they the Rainbows when you
They were
grew
the
up for
Rainbows.
a while, Justin?
Yep.
Yeah, exactly.
Then there's a thing there that we're not going to dive into.
But regardless,
It is the month of June.
I lost my train of
So,
thought.
the stadium, Aloha Stadium, it got condemned, and
they're playing in a very small trackish stadium too until they build their new one.
so this one is small. But here's what's cool: it's right on the lake. Like it is right on. Like if the renderings are anything like what it is going to be, I think that's super cool. If you have a river, and that's why, again, the whole Washington thing, it's the greatest setting in all of college football. It's like, yeah, I get it. But if you've ever been to Husky Stadium on a clear day, it looks so awesome by the lake. It just does. It looks awesome. Tennessee is right there on, I believe that's the Tennessee River. And they got the sailgating. Is it the Brazos that Waco is, or that Baylor is at, right there on the Brazos River? It's tough to cross. Did you know that?
I think those are the only three in America that you can sail.
That you can actually, and well, now it looks like a fourth because Northwestern. Now I don't know how it looks. Pretty. The shores of Lake Michigan look a little rocky in this rendering. I don't see a dock anywhere. I don't know if they're going to build temporary docks, and I don't know also if there's that big of a.
Their final product looks quite amazing too, Justin. Like
the stadium that they're building is going to be awesome.
Yeah, like that looks so. It could be a fun 4 or 5 year stretch for Northwestern to basically play in like a hybrid, like Justin said, water adjacent stadium, and then go to this.
If you have a river or a lake, it's like, and you like every stadium should be built if you have a river or a lake, right? It should be there every time. Like when the Giants built their, is it AT&T now? I forget what it's called. The San Francisco Giants on McCovey Cove, where you can hit a home run into water. That's so awesome. I think it's AT&T Park.
Oracle Park now. Yeah, I couldn't have told you that if you said my career depended on it. So that's tough. Oracle Park.
This like the Steelers and the Pirates, both of their stadiums, right.
That's a good point.
Right at the Three Rivers, the Allegheny, the Monongahela create the Ohio. So I don't know. I love it. It's going to be small. It's not going to be Big Ten worthy for 2 years, but regardless, it's right on the water, and I think it's kind of awesome. You know what else is awesome? Hour number 2. That's coming up next, 620 Rip City Radio. It is 7 a.m. on a Monday morning. Justin Myers with you. Justin Jefferson has signed a 4-year, $140 million deal with the Minnesota Vikings. 110 guaranteed. He becomes the highest paid non-quarterback in NFL history. Who's going to be next to top that? We may talk about that later on in the big show. Oregon baseball is headed back to the Super Regionals. It's not the Sweet 16. It's a Super Regional. And they will face national seed Texas A&M in College Station. Best 2 out of 3 heads to Omaha to the College World Series. Oregon State also trying to punch their ticket to the Super Regional, but they were rained out after 4 innings yesterday against UC Irvine. They will pick it back up with a 6-4 lead at noon today. Oregon State just has to win 1 game. UC Irvine has to win twice. And the NBA Finals set to begin on Thursday with the Boston Celtics and the Dallas Mavericks. Aaron Fentress, friend of the program, joins us in hour number 3. But hour 2 starts right now on 620 Rip City Radio. Hey, welcome back to Rip City Mornings, everybody. Hopefully you are having a fantastic Monday. Hopefully you had a fantastic weekend. We got Make or Miss coming up in 20 minutes. We got some stuff we saw on the internet coming up in about 45 minutes or so. Watched a lot of college baseball over the weekend. And all right, I keep an eye on college baseball, but I can't say, Brenden, if I'm being completely honest, and if there is anything I will be with this listening audience who gives us their time generously each and every day, and we love each and every one of you. And I mean that. It's truth. Can't do it without you guys. And for just spending a smidge of time. And for that, I will not lie. I will not lie to this audience. I would be lying if I said I sat and watched a lot of regular season college baseball this year. I did not. I dabble every once in a while. I check scores every once in a while. When Civil War was being played, I was like, oh, I'll watch a couple of innings. But, it's you have to really love it. I know you do. I know you love college baseball, not just your Beavs, but kind of all of it. But you have to really love, and I know this because I played college baseball. Very, very, very small junior college, but still.
Yeah, regional weekend's one of the best, Justin.
It's watching a regular season college baseball is tough because there's no juice. And there's usually, especially in the Pacific Northwest, it's very, very cold in March and in April. And some of those home games are kind of tough, which, by the way, tip of the cap to the Beaver believers who show up to Goss Stadium in the bitter cold. Like, they got a whole community there. I saw Nick Krupke was eating sausages out with the tailgaters.
I probably would have went to the tailgaters too, Justin.
Yeah.
Going into that game yesterday, I'm like, it's gonna be quite the surprise to me if they get this through. And then when it got to be about 4th inning, it was about 8:00. I'm like, they're gonna call it. And sure enough, here we are today.
So did they usually? And again, I was watching the Oregon game. But usually, did they delay it at all, or did they just go, look, guys, it's late. As we say in baseball, bang it and let's play 2 tomorrow.
Yeah, there was no hey,
let's wait this out.
Oh,
let's see. Let's take a look at the Super Doppler. Oh man,
yeah.
I tell you the thing about technology that is very funny? Baseball coaches, whether it's and if you're a baseball coach or have known a baseball coach at the high school level, or even if you're anywhere competitive, Brenden, they all think they're meteorologists. Every single one of them thinks they are meteorologists. By the way, this show's favorite meteorologist is friend of the program, Jamie Hudson. Who's your guy? Don't you have a...
I mean, we're kind of a K2 household.
Yeah.
So I kind of ride for, Ron Shelby, Dave Selesky.
Dave Selesky.
They've been on since I was like 4. So, consistency is key, man.
I'm with you. But Jamie Hudson, official meteorologist of this program, friend of the program, got to get Jamie on. But every baseball coach thinks they're a meteorologist. And I'll tell you what, the technology has gotten so good where you can pull it up on your phone and you can get the Doppler and you can get the Super Doppler. But I remember before, again, not grumpy old man, but just back in the day, alert. Boy, I remember just coaches standing out there, and it's raining, and especially when you play junior college, you got like, it's a 5-hour van ride, all right? You are staring down a 5-hour van ride. We're on the road, but you get like, look, that's going to break up right there. And I think if that breaks up, I think we can get 4 innings in, maybe 5. And just like, it's all just trying to get innings in. But I would imagine with the Super Regional on the line and your season on the line, probably don't want to sit out there going like, yeah, guys, I think we can squeeze in another 2. You know what I mean?
It was,
God, that was just my entire life of just coaches staring at clouds going like, I think you give it 20 minutes, you let this pass, I think we can get this one in.
Yeah, and Justin, they've mentioned the broadcast last night. That's kind of Southern United States thinking is like, okay, the Lightning's in the area and Baton Rouge or whatever, it'll be gone in an hour and a half. And,
because they get real storms.
Right.
We just get rain.
Right. And then, they point out very eloquently that in the Pacific Northwest, rain, if it's scheduled for the day, doesn't just stop. It just keeps coming and keeps coming and keeps coming.
But if we get a 15-minute break, I think we can get it back. Like
pretty much.
We can squeeze you off that mound, and they probably don't want to do that during a regional.
But yeah, so now I think that's pretty much it. Justin, the weather looking forward is very nice. So that might have been the last little hoorah.
Let's hope so.
Of Oregon spring. We'll see.
Now, again, I've said this. I have not watched all college baseball regular season this year. I've watched in the postseason. I am a Johnny-come-lately. I am a bandwagon rider, okay? Call me whatever you will. Have college umpires always been this bad? Like, yeah. And I don't mind the mistakes are going to be made, and also strike zones are what they are, and strike zones are never going to be perfect in every level. Strike zones just kind of wander a little bit, and that's just what you have to deal with being a competitive baseball player. But Brenden, the amount of talking these guys do in the middle of a game, like, it is brutal to watch. It is brutal to watch. I'm all for getting calls right. I could only imagine what it must be like, especially in an eliminations type game, especially in a postseason where you have actual, like for coaches, jobs might be on the line, extensions might be on the line, money might be on. You want to get the calls right. I'm watching on Saturday night. I'm watching Oregon facing off against Santa Barbara. Pitch comes in, a little loopy curve from a right-hander to a left-handed batter. Anybody that's ever seen it, it loops right in, boom, pops the guy in the foot. But right there, foot there, and then the umpires go like, let's talk about it real quick. And so then the umpires all get together, and then they sit there, and I don't know what they're chatting about. Can't possibly be for anything, because I watched it, and I'm like, kid got hit in the foot. He gets first base. Moving on. So then they talk, and then they go back, and then they do the thing with their ears where it's like, we're going to put on the headset. Do we need 2 umpires at the headset? I don't think we do. But every time it's like, we got 2. Is one just there like a witness? Is it just like, I'm there in case shenanigans happens? We got 2 sets of ears on it. I don't know. So then they go to the and maybe they have to, because they don't have a monitor there. Somebody back at Mission Control is watching it. Is it possible? Because, Brenden, they took, I kid you not, 10 minutes. 10 minutes to figure out whether a guy got hit with a ball in the foot. And, like, he hit, it's clear. He got hit on the foot. Everybody has seen it. It was Saturday night. I was a little buzzed. I could see it clear as day. That kid got hit. Let's go. First move. Is it like maybe when, you're on the plane and you're like on the tarp and you're on the runway and they're like, we're going to wait for a couple. Is there only one guy at the monitor and he was busy with like the Arkansas game? Like, what is going on? I could not believe what I was watching. To where the announcers are also like, yeah, I mean, I don't know what they must. And it's funny when they start trying to speculate what they're talking about. Well, I mean, maybe they're talking about. Well, I mean, but the video clearly shows you got hit right in the foot, and it's the amount of time. Like it is the sports equivalent of like anybody that's ever been to an all-staff meeting, and it's like dude is asking extra questions. Like we can be done right now. Hit in the foot, he gets first base. It's happened since Abner Doubleday. Since Abner Doubleday invented this game, you get plunked, you get a base. And you guys are sitting there and by the way, it's not like they're on national TV. Like you're on ESPN Plus, okay? You're not even on ESPNU. You're on ESPN Plus. Well, clearly they're talking about, I don't know what they're talking about because he got hit right in the foot 4 or 5 times a game. They'll make a definitive call, out, right there, out. And then like, all right, everybody, let's talk about it. It's like, no, dude, you made the call. You made the call. Stand by the call. Coach wants to challenge. He challenges it. It's pretty easy in baseball, I believe. Safe, out. There was a couple close calls on a stolen base, but I'm just like, what on earth are we still doing talking about this particular call at this point? But I guess getting it right is the most important thing. I wouldn't want to go the other way, where you'd have to live with bad calls ending your season. Could only imagine what that is. At least you get the option there, but let's just stop with the jibber jabber. Let's get right down to it, says the guy who does nothing but jibber jabber all day long. All right. Coming up next, we have got make or miss. Like I said, Justin Jefferson just signed a gigantic deal. He's the highest paid non-quarterback in the league. I'm sure that might have potentially come up in make or miss. But before we get to that, I do want to tell you about Toyota and iHeartRadio. Right? They need your help in filling the truck with canned and non-perishable foods to benefit the Oregon Food Bank. Bring your donations and look for the specially marked Toyota Tundra at 2 different Fred Meyer locations on Saturday, June 8th in Roseburg. Shout out to the 541. Noon to 2 down in my neck of the woods. I know that Fred Meyer inside and out. I know it inside and out. So on June 8th in Roseburg from noon to 2. Sunday, head back down I-5 to Grants Pass, noon to 2. And while you're there, enter to win a trip for 2 to the iHeartRadio Music Festival in Las Vegas. Visit the events page at ripcityradio.com for a complete list of dates and locations, and join us at Fred Meyer as we fill the truck for the Oregon Food Bank. Make or miss coming up next, 620 Rip City Radio. All right, 1 hour from now, Aaron Fentress is going to be joining the show. He works for the Oregonian, OregonLive.com. He's also on Talking Ducks. I think he's coming back in a couple of months. I've been on that show a couple of times. They haven't asked me back in a while. Wonder what's up there. Maybe I'll ask Fentress. But Aaron Fentress is going to be joining the show in an hour from now. Get his thoughts on the Blazers heading into the draft workouts. Is there rumors swirling the potential a bundle and trade or a bundle and move up? So we'll get his thoughts on what's going on with the Blazers. Also, the Bears gonna be on Hard Knocks. Here we go.
I did see that. That's going to be to have that, and then the new thing that they're doing where they're going to follow an entire division during the season is pretty cool too.
Okay, question though: has Hard Knocks gotten a bit watered down? Like, here's what I think: Hard Knocks may have gotten away from what I believe the special sauce was. Now, I am just one consumer. I am just one person, one voice, one opinion. But I've always thought the reason why I loved Hard Knocks so much is because, Brenden, by the time you get to like the second week of August, you've got that football itch. And Hard Knocks is like it. Every Tuesday, it's almost like watching an actual game. And it's like a primer. It is an appetizer. It is an amuse-bouche of football. And then once regular football is happening, I don't know that I need Hard Knocks in my life anymore. I haven't watched any of the in-season ones, except for, I will say, I watched a couple of the Dolphins ones because they had, I saw that clip of not McCarthy, McDaniel, not Josh McDaniel, but the McDaniel, McDonald, McCarthy, Mike, Sean. Roger Goodell's got to do something. One of those guys got to get a nickname or something. But anyways, Mike McDaniels was doing the whole bleep your records, Dan Marino. And I was like, what is that about? So I watched a couple of those. But other than that, I always feel like Hard Knocks is kind of there as like it's almost here, guys, and you can watch it. But you're all in? You like the in-season?
You know, I've been very selective with Hard Knocks. Like I said, I didn't have HBO for a long time, so I've kind of just caught up on some ones. I watched the Dolphins a little bit last year.
Yeah.
So I don't really have quite as much of a frame of reference for you, but like I said, the Bears might be the most exciting offensive team in the NFL this next year.
That's a hot take. I love it. I love the hot take.
They have. I mean, it's going to be fun to watch, or it's going to be a really bad dumpster fire fun to watch too. So, yeah, no, I'm all in. All in.
I love Hard Knocks. I do. I worry that they're because they did the Giants were on the off-season Hard Knocks, and I'm like, well, all right. Anyways,
I don't know if we need 3.
Yeah, I don't know if we need 3.
But I'll say I'm more excited for the one where they're like, we're gonna pick the division. Like they haven't even picked the division yet, so that's kind of cool.
All right, real quick, let's do this game. You are in charge of Max. Oh boy.
We get like 8 House of Dragons spinoffs, man. We'd be all over the place.
So nothing but House of Dragons.
No, yes,
you're in charge. Definitely bringing the wire back.
We can bring a lot of things back.
But you are in charge of Max, or let's just say you're the person in charge of the NFL.
The sports, yeah.
You get to pick the division. You get to find the division that Hard Knocks is going to be following. I think I know the answer, but I want to hear yours.
I'm either going AFC North or AFC West.
See, I didn't want to sound like a homer, but it's got to be the AFC North.
See,
Burrow's coming back.
Now you say
Lamar
that.
Jackson. You got the.
Now you say that.
You got the Browns, and with Deshaun Watson coming back, and all the success they had after Joe Flacco took them to the Super Bowl, and the Steelers and their weird quarterback deal, like that. I feel like it's not even really close. But again, I'm a homer.
It's not close when there's another division that has the Chiefs,
I was thinking AFC
Sean
West
Payton,
too.
this new guy named Jim Harbaugh. You don't think he'd be really
the
good?
Coaches in the AFC West are so good. And Vegas is just gonna Vegas. You know what I mean? They got Antonio Pierce.
Like, those two.
AFC West would be good.
Those two are the first that come to mind. Maybe.
And I love Bo Nix. I just think rookie quarterback.
Yeah, I don't see
in season.
And I'm like, I could see them like going NFC East for Cowboys and Eagles, but that
God, can we get enough? Like, we get enough of Cowboys and Eagles on the ESPN, right?
But
now
yeah,
I really sound like an old man.
AFC North,
We
AFC
get enough
West.
of the Giants, the Eagles, and the Cowboys. Like, ESPN might as well be the NFC East ESPN because that's all they ever talk about.
Very true.
I'd go AFC North, but I'm Homer. All right, you know what I'm ready for? Make or miss. Here we go. It's been a week.
All right, firing up make or miss today.
Yes.
As I alluded to and told Justin about probably 2 weeks ago now, I said, keep an eye on what happens with the Lakers and Pelicans because the Pelicans had the opportunity to speak. Well, let's take it back. The Pelicans own the Lakers draft pick, and they have the choice either to use it this year or next year.
And it's number 15, correct?
17.
That's close.
And they decided to defer it until next year, which means the Lakers.
So the Lakers shall be picking at 17.
Yes.
Now, did you see what ESPN tweeted out that got everybody all up in a tizzy? The ESPN, when the news came out that the Lakers or that the Pelicans deferred it to next year and the Lakers will be picking at 17, will they draft Bronny? Your own ESPN thing put it at 54. Put him at 54. Which, by the way, Brenden, I know you like a good conspiracy as much as the next guy. Do you find it at all fascinating that Bronny James, after the combine, moved from, I think, 94 to 54 on ESPN's draft board? If he's the number 54 prospect, who has the number 55 pick? Oh, is that the Los Angeles Lakers? I smell some shenanigans going on. I sense shenanigans. There's no way they draft Bronny at 17, do they? Yeah, there is a way.
Yeah.
Because 33% of bettors still think he's going to go number 1 overall to the Atlanta Hawks.
I think this is done.
You think it's done? He's going to draft Bronny at 17.
It's over.
Am I being gaslit here? Am I like, is this Emperor's New Clothes? Am I the one who is crazy or is ever... This is inconceivable, right? Am I just being such a LeBron hater, which I am? I can be, to where they would draft his kid, who, from all scouts have said, is around 90th best prospect, best case scenario, mid-50s, that they would draft him at 17 overall.
If this is as bad of a draft as they say it is,
Yes.
Who cares?
I guess.
Especially if you're LeBron. If you're the Lakers, this is a no-brainer. You're not going to let him walk away from your organization.
Man.
And have LeBron walks away, Justin. If you're the Lakers, what do you have to hang your head on? Austin Reeves' future?
Well,
Anthony Davis's future at 32?
Here's what I would say, though. This is what the Lakers get, though. Somehow, some way, they keep falling forward. Do you know what I mean? Like, they would spend a couple of years toiling, and then some other superstar, like Anthony Edwards, is going to be like, I want to go play for the Lakers, and they will. Like, that's what they got with LeBron, right? Kobe got hurt. Kobe had his retirement tour, which was not their best year. And then they kind of toiled and were like, and it's like, oh, guess what? We get LeBron now. And then LeBron brings Anthony Davis. Like,
Can we go back to those?
That's just what the Lakers get.
Can we go back to the 6 years when they did not make the playoffs in recent memory?
That's
Gosh,
true.
that was glorious.
Yeah. That was post-Kobe, pre-LeBron?
No, that included several LeBron teams. Remember, LeBron got Luke Walton fired. So
and
just
the
another
hamstring.
coach. Just another
So,
coach.
yeah, LeBron's first year, and I think Kobe's last year is sandwiched in there, right? Because Kobe's last year, we know he didn't make the playoffs. Had that final game, Denver, where he scored 60-some points, I think.
No, I mean, in a draft that has no number one, a draft that everyone's like, yeah, there could be 30 busts out of 32 players in the first. Or 30.
Is Rob Pelinka still the GM there?
Yeah.
With the Lakers? All right. Well,
Yeah.
Good luck, Rob, because you draft Bronny, and your team's not going to make the playoffs, and you're going to get fired. Just like Darvin Ham. Now, maybe you're like, good, get me out of this because I want to be a real GM and not just taking LeBron James's phone calls on coaches and his own kid, but man.
Like you said, falling forward. I mean, this is something where if I'm Jeannie Buss and the Lakers, I'm doubling down on the investment that I made. And it's the fact is we can draft this kid.
Mm-hmm.
There's no there's no negative. We're still going to sell out crypto arena.
Yeah.
We're still going to have LeBron. We're still going to have AD.
Can I get a little introspective here? Here's the negative. The negative is to the game of basketball.
Do the Lakers care? Not at all.
They don't, because they haven't cared about the game of basketball for a while. But to me, that's the negative here. The negative is to the game of basketball because we see so much nepotism. And look, nepotism is in the world. I get it. It's part of our lives. But we see so much nepotism, whether it's Chris Collinsworth's kid gets to work for NBC. And I don't know if he was Jack Johnson, not the Island guy, but you know what I'm saying. If he was Jack Wilson, I don't know if he would get that job, but he's Jack Collinsworth, so he gets that job, right? There's nepotism all over the place, but there really hasn't been a lot of nepotism in terms of an NBA or an NFL active roster. Do you know what I mean? Sure, there have been some draft picks late in rounds in baseball. Sure, there's a tight ends coach that's, the Steve Belichick got a job, and Steve Belichick isn't coaching in the NFL, I don't believe, if he's not Bill Belichick's kid. But we've always kind of drawn the line at the active roster. But I don't know. Maybe I'm making too big of this because what is the 12th man? Because did you see last week? I don't know if the news got to Hawaii or not. But Rich Paul came out and said, yeah, Bronny's not going to do a two-way contract either. So teams know this. They know he's not doing a two-way contract. So they're not only saying he's staying in the draft, they're saying he's not going to the G League. Try again.
I think it just is. I think it's one of those things where it is what it is. And again, I think there's lots of other teams, Justin.
At some point, don't the Lakers just gotta have a backbone? I see what you're saying about the investment, and I think you're probably right in the long run. But
there are
you're the Los Angeles Lakers. Look up at all those banners and
there are so many players, Justin, who have been drafted in the top 10 who and I feel like we're just kind of throwing it out. Again, don't get me wrong, hasn't really proven or accomplished much of anything. But the fact that you're still 19, Justin, there's still the mystery box of LeBron James Jr.
You're
where
right.
it's we don't know what he could be. We project he'll be a very average rotation player at best.
Yeah.
But Justin, there are guys who get taken in first round who are out of the NBA in 2-3 years. So could he just be on that path? Perhaps.
You're right. If he was if he was the argument is if he's Bronny Smith, he probably doesn't get drafted. But if he does get drafted and is a bust and is Bronny Smith, nobody cares.
Right.
Right. Nobody bats an eye and says that was an absolute wasted pick. There's plenty. Darko Milicic got drafted number 2 overall. Nobody knew anything about him. That being said, I don't know. We talk about players and deserving and all. It's we're just going to bend over backwards for this guy. All right.
I know he's.
All right.
Yeah, I mean, like I said.
We're just going to keep bending over backwards for this guy.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's just. It's one of those things, Justin, where it's something we're not going to really see. We saw Michael Jordan didn't have kids that played NBA basketball. It's so very rare. But
it's all those. There's a lot of kids, right? Bo Bichette, Vlad Guerrero Jr., obviously Ken Griffey Jr. Baseball's got a lot of Jackson Holiday for the Baltimore Orioles got called up. He went 0 for 11 and got sent back down to the minors. He didn't get to stay in the Orioles because his dad was a Major League Baseball player. You've got to be able to hit the ball and knock down shots.
Again, I'm not trying to throw any strays here, Justin, but this is kind of my comparison, right? Let's look at some of the more not greatest Blazers that have been around in the last couple years, right?
Yeah.
So, can And this is where I think you kind of got to look at Bronny and be a little bit critical. Like,
Is CJ Ellaby about to take a hit right now?
he is. So it's like Justin and me.
How did I know that?
Justin and me would come up with two names as kind of the more run-of-the-mill, struggling to make the roster Blazers. And the two that come to mind are CJ Ellaby and Keon Johnson.
Yes.
Both Keon Johnson, first-round pick, Justin.
He was so good at Tennessee, though.
There's your point. Bronny was
not good at USC.
Right. So that's where it's like, even CJ Ellaby, who we've thrown some NBA shade, but hey, you know what? The dude is still playing in professional basketball, so I give him credit. He's in Mexico. But be that as it may,
He's
Justin,
a second-rounder, though.
he averaged 20-8 at Washington State his sophomore year.
Yeah, that's not
Bronny
4.
was like 5-2.
I think it was 4, but yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, that part of it's like you still, like, have to prove you can dominate in college to be good at the end.
You have to dominate in college just to be bad in the NBA.
Right. That's what yes.
You've
just
just,
what
like-
I'm getting at. Yes. Yes.
All right. What's next? I'm tired of talking about Bronny. I just think, I am being gaslit here, and I don't even know what gaslit means half the time.
So it'll be interesting. I mean,
It's also me getting upset because TikTok famous and Twitch famous and internet famous, and
let me ask you this.
I just I yell at the clouds at think about all the popularity. Tell me anything about Bronny James's basketball. I said this last week. I said, tell me anything about Bronny James without talking about either who his dad is or how popular he is.
Now,
Tell me about his basketball. Nobody can.
it's true, and I think that it's one of those things that we're all going to be surprised at what happens come draft night, Justin. It's just, yeah.
I don't think I am going to be surprised. I think the Lakers are just going to do it because it's such a Lakers thing to do.
And again, kudos to the Pelicans for being like, Lakers, you want to pick in this terrible draft? Go right on ahead.
Have at. We kind of want to. They're like sitting there with their popcorn.
They're like, we'll take your pick next year when this all blows up in your face. So just a thought, but nevertheless, let's move on here in Make or Miss. Ooh,
Okay.
Luka will be a what if for Phoenix and Sacramento for a long time.
I think so. But you know what's interesting? We have yet to see, like I said, I think the NBA is changing a little bit. Our dynasty's dying. Because to be that big regret, Luka's going to have to be part of a dynasty. And we thought, and between Milwaukee, the end of the Golden State Warriors, the Lakers before that, the Raptors before that, and since then the Nuggets, and now we'll have a new champion. We have not seen a dynasty in 10 years. We haven't seen a legit dynasty in the NBA in 10 years. I don't know if the Mavericks. Now, I will say, if there's a team that's built for dynasty, it is new Kyrie, who's just like, I'm playing hoops now and I don't talk about weird stuff anymore. And Luka, who's 26.
Yeah, Kyrie must have found out that the world is indeed a circle, and then everything's calmed down.
Sphere.
Yeah,
Yeah.
circle, sphere, whatever.
Yeah, I gotcha. He also stopped endorsing problematic things, and
He did.
And the world has moved on from being psychopaths about COVID. So, all that being said, if there was a team that is poised to maybe go on a run, it's probably the Mavericks, but the NBA hasn't had a dynasty. So, I'm with you. If Phoenix blows up, which I think they're going to do,
they won't win.
And you look, and Dallas, maybe they don't become a dynasty, but maybe they become a team that's just always there, no matter kind of what the Celtics are now. They're just always going to be there. Yeah, that's probably gonna be a big old regret there.
Yeah, I mean,
Kings definitely, because the Kings have been irrelevant. They had a fun light the beam last year, but the Kings have been irrelevant since Robert Horry ended them. You know what I mean? Kings probably more than the Suns.
Yeah, I mean,
Suns were at least in the finals.
Right. I mean, but then they, again, traded away that player who helped get them there.
I hear you, but I think at least they made the finals. The Kings, nothing much there.
Yeah, if you were to look at it, because like you mentioned, the Kings, the Suns, I mean, Marvin Bagley was one of the bigger busts we've seen. I mean, you go back and look, the guy was averaging, some 20-some points at Duke.
Yeah.
But, maybe the Hawks, too.
The Hawks is another one, too. Maybe we dive into that coming up in just a bit. Before we get to stuff we saw on the internet, I do want to tell you about the good folks at DeBella. That's right. DeBella is Oregon's roofing, siding, windows, and bath renovation experts. And for the past few months, if you've been thinking about upgrading your home, well, guess what? Now that we are in June, it's the perfect season to make it happen. DeBella is going to do phenomenal work for you. How do I know that? 15,000 five-star reviews on Google, plus award-winning customer service. That's right. They've won top marks from Angie's List and Home Advisor. And now, as you plan your summertime spending and you want to save money, how about potentially paying for a new roof with savings and federal and state incentives? Just go with solar. Contact DeBella for all the details about upgrading your roof with solar shingles. So now is the time to update your roofing, siding, windows, and bath. And with DeBella's incredible financing opportunity of no payments until 2025 on approved credit, you can start saving today. All right, time to wrap up hour number 2. We have tentatively titled this. I keep saying tentatively, but we've been doing it for a while now. Stuff we saw on the internet, which over the weekend, a lot of different things that we saw on the internet. I'm curious because Brenden, when you travel around, I think that's when you see the most stuff on the internet. When you're just sitting there at the airport, going like, "Give me something entertaining to flip around on." A couple things that I wanted to Do you see the guy that was in traffic court for suspended license and zoomed in while he was driving?
I did see that.
Bold move. I've watched that like it was the Zapruder film, and I'm like,
It's funny.
was he? It felt like, is this like a bit? Is he trying to like prove a point? And like, I genuinely got the idea that he did not realize that with a suspended license he was not allowed to drive. It's like, well, yeah, I know I got a suspended license, but I mean, I had to drive to the doctor real quick, and I'm just going to zoom in, and I'm just going to explain real quick, and then they're going to unsuspend my license, and then I'm just going to keep on driving.
I think it's great. It's
Dude.
funny. When I saw that, I clicked on it and was just like, wow.
The other one I saw was there was a fight in the stands at the UFC. Now, listen, A, don't fight in public, okay? Let's just not do it. Let's just not fight. B, don't fight at concerts, sporting events, big, large crowds, right? It's never going to end well. Now, I understand where, as a guy, and you got your testosterone up, and you're like, I can't be a punk, but maybe it's just the way my brain works. I always, like, in any situation, I fast forward, like, how is this going to end? How is this ultimately going to end? Never once has someone gotten to a fight at a sporting event, other than the Sons and Four guy, who he kind of turned out to. Remember that guy? Remember the Sons and Four guy? He kind of came out looking, but everybody else just, you look like an idiot. But I have broken down stadium fight videos more than I should. And let me tell you, if you are ever, I don't care how in the wrong the other person is, and you must defend the honor. If you are not in the high ground in a stadium fight, you are going to get smoked. You're going to get smoke showed. It's not going to end well. Did you see this UFC fight? So UFC over the weekend. A lot of stuff from the internet from the UFC fight, but UFC fight over the weekend, and apparently there was a fight in the crowd, not just a fight in the octagon. And yeah, guess what? Low man wins in football. Low man loses in fight in the crowd. It's 100% loss rate. You are going to lose. And then the last thing I did want to talk about, because Brenden, we talked about this. I think the Mike Tyson fight's not going to happen. I don't think the Mike Tyson Jake Paul fight is.
Think it'll fall through?
I think this is step one of maybe Mike Tyson realizing maybe I don't want to do this. I don't know.
He's not scared.
I don't know if he's scared or not. I don't want to say that. I think what it is, I think maybe it's the first realization that I ain't a spring chicken. And
Could be.
I could still knock this guy out if I got in a good one, but so it was supposed to be in 3 weeks. Right? It was supposed to be in 3 weeks. Now it's been delayed, but I don't think it's going to happen. I really don't. Now, I will still maintain that I believe Mike Tyson would knock him out. I know that Aaron Fentress, who's going to be on the show, he's going to be on in about a half an hour from right now. I know Aaron Fentress feels different, but much like the same reason why I believe Tiger Woods, every time he tees it up in every tournament, don't care if he finishes dead last like he did, I think, in the PGA. I don't care if he finishes dead last. Brenden, Tiger Woods tees it up. I believe he's going to win the tournament because I'm not ready to give up I see Mike Tyson throwing punches. Don't care if he's going up against a guy like Jake Paul. I still believe he is going to knock his block off. But maybe this is for the better. Maybe it's for the best.
I did see that they thought it was going to be rescheduled for just like a week later than originally
Yeah,
anticipated.
but
we'll see, I suppose.
I think this is the more time that I think that both parties have a chance to think this one out. I think is less likely that it's actually going to happen. You know what I mean? So apparently, like, I think Mike Tyson, what do you have, like a stomach ulcer, I think?
Nothing serious.
But it was enough to where it, like, halted his training. I wanted to see him knock that guy's block off, though. I really did. I know that there is a problematic past with Mike Tyson, and I understand that. And that being said, I want to see one more Mike Tyson uppercut in my life. I just do. I just want to see one more Tyson right there with the right hand and a YouTuber fake fighter Jake Paul see him go down. And all the Gen Zers sit and cry into their cell phones, knowing that Tyson still got it. Knowing that still old Mikey T he's still the baddest man on the planet. But then again, Brenden, I've been the victim of 90s nostalgia coming back and biting me in the past.
Yeah, can you be the baddest man on the planet when you're pushing 60?
I still believe. You know that clip?
I just don't know.
That video clip of the professional wrestling fan who's like, it's still real to me. That's me and like Tyson and Tiger Woods and Michael Jordan. And
I mean, you could have convinced me
it's still 96 to me.
You could have convinced me that Mike Tyson could have done it maybe even after even 10 years ago. I have some doubts about old Iron Mike, so we'll see.
The further this goes along, the more doubts I have too. When it was first announced, I'm like, oh, he's going to crush him. This is not even a because again, Brenden, I still see 1992 Mike Tyson. That's all I see.
That's entirely fair.
My brain is incapable of seeing anything but 1992 Mike Tyson. And I'm like, Jake Paul, he dropped like a Buster Douglas on him. I'm like, dude, you are no Buster Douglas.
So you're just like casually been like, you can just casually go into your brain and just be like, yeah, 32 years ago. Just
yeah.
Can casually
It'll happen to you too.
Okay.
It'll happen to you too. It will. It's more clear than 2 months ago. Brenden, 1992 is more clear to me than 2 months ago.
I won't take that personally.
No, I don't. It's just it will ultimately, eventually, it shall happen to you. All right, real quick before we head into hour number 3. Oh, I had the thing and then hit the button, Justin. There we go. I do want to tell you. What do I need to tell the people about? Oh, that's right. Complexities of justice in the sports world. Playing Dirty Sports Scandals, hosted by veteran ESPN host Jay Harris. Each episode fearlessly confronts controversial cases that have rocked athletic history, uncovering untold stories and asking the tough questions. Tune in weekly on the iHeartRadio app to uncover the truth behind the headlines and join the conversation today. Hour 3 coming up next, 620 Rip City Radio. It is 8 a.m. on a Monday morning. Justin Myers with you. Justin Jefferson has signed a 4-year, $140 million extension with the Minnesota Vikings. 110 guaranteed million dollars. He now becomes the highest paid non-quarterback in NFL history. College baseball over the weekend saw the Oregon Ducks advance to the Super Regionals after they took down host Santa Barbara. They will face national seed Texas A&M in College Station, best 2 out of 3, to try to punch their ticket to Omaha for the first time since the 1950s. Oregon State looks to punch their ticket to the Super Regional, but they are going to have to wait until noon today as they were rained out against UC Irvine after the 4th. They hold a 6-4 lead. A win puts the Beavs in. NBA Finals will begin on Thursday. Boston Celtics hosting the Dallas Mavericks, and Aaron Fentress, friend of the program, joins the big show in 20 minutes. Hour number 3 of Rip City Morning starts right now on 620 Rip City Radio. All right, welcome back to Rip City Mornings, everybody. Super producer Brenden back in the chair from his Hawaiian vacation. You were on Oahu? They still have a bunch of ABC stores?
Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah. Here's what I've always wondered about ABC stores. Have you ever been to the great city of New Orleans, a.k.a. the Big Easy?
No, have not had the pleasure.
Two things that I find similar about Hawaii and New Orleans is they are both kind of synonymous with a certain type of music, right? Whether it is like the New Orleans jazz music or like the island ukulele music of Hawaii. And you go into those ABC stores because you can't help yourself. You got to, right? Either you need some sunblock or you want some cheap sunglasses or you want to grab some macadamia nuts to bring back to summer. Bring any macadamia nuts back?
No.
I probably could have. I didn't ask you.
No, I didn't
Probably
bring back.
should have.
Didn't bring back a whole lot of perishable stuff.
Yeah.
Brought back some T-shirts and some trinkets for the fam. But,
So you go to the ABC stores for, yeah.
did not buy any of that stuff at the ABC store, actually. But yeah, so ABC.
But you go to those ABC stores and they're all playing like the same songs, the same
Pretty
music.
much.
And I've always wondered, like, the same reason, like when you go by like a souvenir shop in New Orleans and it's all nothing but like New Orleans, like brassy jazz. And I'm like, do you think those people ever get sick of that stuff? Sick of that music? Because like in 40-Year-Old Virgin, where Paul Rudd is like, if I have to hear that Mike McDonald DVD one more time, I always thought about that in Hawaii going in because I go in for 4 minutes, right? I grab a water, I maybe grab some sunscreen that's very overpriced, but I get it. It's an island, you got to make your money, and a fun shirt that says aloha means hello or whatever. And then I'm out. And like, you got to be there all day listening to that ukulele music all day.
Not a lot of stress, though, Justin. I'll
No.
say that.
At least not for you, probably. What else did you do? You went scuba diving. Did you go on top of Diamond Head? Did you go up to Diamond Head?
No, kind of were just in the area. We went to the beach a couple days, went to the east side of the island, which I had never been to like a sandbar type area. So that was kind of fun. Trying to think. That was that was kind of it.
All right.
So
there you go.
Yeah, it was pretty laid back, pretty mellow.
You're not sunburnt, so that's good.
I was on day 1, but it already turned into a tan because, again, I burn and it turns into a tan because I can't.
I burned in San Diego and it turned into freckles. More freckles for me.
Yep. No, I'm lucky. I don't have that happen, Justin.
All right. We got to do this. We got to talk about this. It is maybe it's because the finals haven't started yet, but it is one of the biggest stories that is going on. We got to do the Caitlin Clark thing because there's a lot of hot takes. There's a lot of hot takes going on with Caitlin Clark. Now, I have not talked about this a ton, not because I am a hater, but look, as I said earlier in the show, I'm not going to sit here and lie to everybody. There's a lot of people in sports media that are going to sit there and lie to you, and they're going to talk about the WNBA like they've been watching it for years and years and years. It's not my cup of tea. I'm not saying can't be yours. I'm not saying that it should be abolished. I'm just saying not my favorite thing. It's not my cup of tea. I don't watch. I'm not the demo. But I am in the sports media business, and I am in the business of talking about what is popular. And So, one of the biggest things that happened over the weekend was, once again, it seemed that Caitlin Clark was targeted with a flagrant foul while playing the Chicago Sky. And I think all that Caitlin Clark said after the game was, I don't think that was a basketball play, which it wasn't, which is kind of the definition of a flagrant foul. Now, let me preface everything I am about to say by saying that from everything that I have seen, and I've seen a bunch because I look at the internet a lot, Caitlin Clark has done nothing but be a pro during this entire time. She has not whined, has not complained. She's just trying to get through her rookie year of the WNBA after coming off of maybe the most famous season of women's college basketball that we have ever seen. Not the greatest, but the most famous. Nobody has ever had more eyeballs. Nobody has had more attention. It's just the way the world has worked. She came in as not the greatest. That's an argument for a different day, and I'm not the person to have that argument, but I don't think there's any question that she came into the WNBA as the most famous player in terms of people knowing who she is. And like anybody else that comes into any professional league or any other higher league with a bit of fame, there is going to be resentment. There is going to be pushback. There is going to be you think you're better than me. I say this as a guy that lives on, you think you're better than me. And a lot of these all of these WNBA players have been hearing about how Caitlin Clark's the reason that they are going to be flying on private jets and that she is the reason. And they're all like, well, what about all the work we have done to lay the groundwork and the foundation for this league for her to continue to thrive? Because if it wasn't for us who has continued to build this league, she got nowhere to go after Iowa. If it wasn't for us. Now, I'm not saying that's the truth. I'm saying that's probably what a lot of WNBA players think, is that a bunch of Johnny-come-latelys who have never covered their league are coming in saying, like, you should all just be thankful for the Nikes that she walks in on. Because look at all the fun stuff you're getting. Look at all the eyeballs you're getting. Look at all the money you could potentially get. And look at, how about these private jets that you were never able to get? You don't got to fly commercial. It's all because of her. And I would imagine if I was a professional women's basketball player, I'd be like, yeah, but I put in the work too. And there's been a lot of physicality. There's been a lot of pushback. There has been a lot of players, and it, I think, culminated this weekend with this game against the Chicago Sky, where it was like, well, as I like to say, welcome to the Thunderdome. You're not in Iowa anymore, Caitlin. And so now, as with anything we do on the internet, which drives me absolutely bonkers, everything that we do has to come back to some sort of either political or ideological statement. We can't just talk about sports anymore. It has to come down to a political or ideological statement. And everything in and around Caitlin Clark, who, by the way, she has not sought out. She's just playing hoops. But everybody else on the internet has turned this Caitlin Clark rookie season of the WNBA into their own bully pulpit. Shout out Teddy Roosevelt. Has turned it into their own bully pulpit to try to rile up people on Twitter to get people to pay attention to them. And I think it came to a peak over the weekend when she got bumped into. And it was a physical game with the Chicago Sky. She also took a dive and a flop and a foul that was called on Angel Reese, her college basketball nemesis. But she took a flop once. She got bumped into, got a hard foul. Wasn't a basketball play. And a lot of people, I shouldn't say everybody because the internet makes it look like it's more people than it is, but a lot of people were up in arms. When is the WNBA going to take care of this? When is the WNBA going to get in and start protecting Caitlin? I was like, all right. I'm old enough to remember when Michael Jordan was in the NBA in the 80s. Now, I don't know if this is a fair comparison, but Michael Jordan came into the NBA. First guy to get a shoe deal. Nobody else got shoe deals back then. He was the first guy to get his own shoe deal. They made him Air Jordans. He was a guy that was getting a ton of attention because, winning dunk contests, scoring 60-some points against the Celtics. Those first 2 or 3 years, Jordan was the reason that a lot of these NBA guys were ultimately going to be making so much money, like potentially Caitlin Clark. What'd the bad boy Pistons do? Put him into the fourth row. They put him into the fourth row for 3 seasons.
Or just on the ground.
On the ground.
Yeah, they hit him hard,
Yeah,
Justin.
for 3 seasons.
But you could also be more brutal back then. Like, and I don't mean that to be, like, negative now, but Justin, imagine if, like, you could do what you did back then. Mm-hmm. You could just, players going up to the rim, just grab him and just throw him to the ground. And it's like, hey, we keep on playing.
Common foul,
right?
Keep on playing. You're right. But I think point was, there was a sense of, okay, kid, with your shoes and your Air Jordan, you're not going to take off from the free throw line against us. That happened before. And we almost look back in reverence. I hated it because I love Jordan, but we almost look back in reverence of like, remember the bad boy Pistons? Remember 90s basketball? No wimps allowed. Caitlin Clark comes in. She's played, 11 games of WNBA? It's like the WNBA needs to change everything around their rules to protect this. NBA didn't do that with Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan had to overcome, and that's what made him a superstar. Now, then, once he became a champion, then the NBA changed all the rules. And it's like, hey, hand checking can't do that anymore. Michael Jordan's going to score some points. Tim Tebow came into the NFL. Now, different circumstances because Tim Tebow was far from an NFL prospect, but Tim Tebow came into the NFL. Fanfare, media fawning over him left and right. You don't think every defensive end in the NFL wanted to knock Tim Tebow's block off? Because he was getting all the attention for none of the actual accolades. Point is, this has been happening in sports forever. And it drives me nuts because you now have, on one side, well, Caitlin Clark needs to be protected. And then on the other side, Caitlin Clark is only popular because of how she looks. And it's like, okay, you're all big dumb doofuses. This is sports. This is sports. And the fact that now nothing can happen in the WNBA in and around Caitlin Clark without somebody jumping on their political soapbox to make whatever. This is a rookie phenom coming into the league, taking on some physical play. Is it jealousy and resentment? Maybe. Who cares?
Probably some, for sure.
Were the Detroit Pistons jealous of Michael Jordan? Probably, because they're like, we've won the East, yet he gets all the commercials. Isaiah Thomas, we know, was jealous of Michael Jordan. Isaiah Thomas was a Chicago basketball legend, and all of a sudden now Jordan owns Chicago. This is nothing new. We've seen this before. Just the internet has volumed up the rhetoric on both sides, by the way, and both sides are so completely bat-you-know-what crazy on this. All right, coming up next, another crazy guy, but I love him. I love his crazy. Aaron Fentress joins the show next, 620 Rip City Radio. Hey, make sure you tune in to Rip City Drive because Rip City Radio is keeping the Ticket Tuesday winning streak alive. Exclusive tickets to the Hillsboro Hops all season long. That's right. Rip City Drive each and every Tuesday afternoon. That's tomorrow. Listen up for your chance to win, or you can get your Hops tickets now at hillsborohops.com. Very excited now to welcome back friend of the program. We are 90 days away from college football season kicking off. We are a couple of weeks away from the NBA draft, and we are right in the midst of him fighting on the internet with a lot of people, which always makes me happy and brings entertainment and joy to my life. Aaron Fentress from the Oregonian back on the big show. Fentress, how we doing, bud? Oh, did we lose him? And there it is. Hey, what's going on? No. Oh, I am so entertained. It makes me so happy. I love it when Fentress starts fighting on the internet. Can I tell you what's happened in my life that's a little bit weird? And the listeners might not understand this, but you will, because you and I have got, I don't know, probably a good 15 years of us talking and goofing off and arguing about sports. Boy, I'm agreeing with you more and more than ever before, and it scares me. It scares the daylights out of me. All right. So I was talking about it last segment, and I brought this up, and I think you might agree with me because this Caitlin Clark thing is getting absurd. First off, the moment we start taking WNBA and it has to turn into a political statement each and every highlight in each and every game, it's like both sides are absurd. But like to me, like isn't this comparable to what the Bad Boy Pistons did to Michael Jordan, and then Michael Jordan had to learn to overcome it, and that physical play at that level was going to be what defined him, and that ultimately is what led to the legend that was Michael Jordan, whom you and I both love. Isn't this a little bit like the Bad Boy Pistons, what they did to Jordan? Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, let me ask you this. Aaron Fentress joining us here on 620 Rip City Radio. I'm actually curious your thoughts because that's one of the arguments, right? Is there's the athletic part, and I agree with you because you know what? No big deal, Fentress. They don't just let anybody play baseball at Southwestern Oregon Community College, okay? I'm they don't just let anybody walk onto that team. So I know what you're saying about playing competitive sports, but yeah. Exactly. But yeah, I'm probably grounded out to short, but I can still make contact, you know. Anyways, but the other argument is it like you said it's good for business beef. Would it be better for business? Because it's true, we're talking about this. We're not talking about the Blazers draft. We're not talking about the Bears being on Hard Knocks, and we're not talking about college football 90 days away from kickoff, which we are definitely going to dive into. We are talking about this, but would it be better if, I don't know, she's scored 28 and didn't get bumped? In terms of better for business with all the eyeballs.
No. Well, I don't think eyeballs have gone away because of this.
Yeah.
I think you're building tension. It's like if you started Star Wars with them attacking the Death Star, is that as good as the lead up to them attacking the Death Star? No. If you start Return of the Jedi at the saber duel between Luke and his dad, then, no, not as good. So this is building things up because one or two things are going to happen. She's going to develop into an all-star caliber player at least, and that's going to mean that she's going to overcome this and start torching some teams. And then she overcame an obstacle, as opposed to just walking in and lighting it up. And the calls out there for like they need to not be so rough on her, not be so tough on her because she's bringing eyeballs. Like people are literally saying that they should just like ease up, like not give 100%. You know, let her shoot her threes. No, that's just stupid. That's just patronizing. And here's the thing about this too. And I've never met Caitlin Clark. I've never talked to Caitlin Clark, but I guarantee you that she sees some of this stuff and thinks, man, my fans are soft. Because you're basically saying that she can't handle the physicality of what's happening, that she's too weak, she's too soft, she's a porcelain doll, let's protect her, even though there's a video I keep posting left and right about her shoving an opponent in a game to the ground. But she's a competitive person. She's going to channel this the right way, and she just needs to be babied or coddled. And so if she overcomes all of this, then it just only increases the legend. And if she doesn't, then she was overhyped to begin with.
Well, and I said this, Aaron Fentress joining us here on 620 Rip City Radio. I said this last segment. I've not once talked about Caitlin Clark because, I mean, she does not seem to be doing. She's not going out on Twitter going like, "This is unfair. They're treating me unfair."
Right.
It's all the.
But she's not soft.
It's all the hot take artists, which I am a hot take artist, so I understand the mentality. So I see what's going on. All right, let's talk some Blazers real quick.
No. We're not care about them. Let's just stick with this.
Okay,
I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
By the way, it was the Connecticut Sun, I believe, is who they opened up their season with. Was
that's
the team
right.
you were thinking of.
And also, she was 1 for 10 last night. That was hilarious.
That was not
After
good.
all this crying, oh my God, but she goes 1 for 10. Anyway, go ahead.
Also, Sabrina was Caitlin before Caitlin. I'll die on that hill. But I'm a homer.
Right. No, dude, 100%. You put Caitlin on the Iowa team and say shoot as much as you want, she puts up crazy numbers. Yeah, I'm not even convinced Caitlin's better than Sabrina, let alone the best in the world. Anyway, go ahead.
All right, so it's distraction season right now because you keep hearing about hey, heard about this guy, you heard about this potential trade, you heard about this. Can you believe anything you hear coming out of the Blazers or any of that team or any teams by the way, with like about 3 weeks left to go before the draft? Is this total distraction? Is this agents playing games, or how do you as a reporter kind of decipher what you are hearing from what is potential nonsense? Or is it all nonsense?
It's the same every year. Some of it's complete nonsense. Some of it's just a lot of nonsense. Some of it's a little bit of nonsense. and then some of it's kind of true, or true. I don't know. This is about the most uninteresting draft to play games with.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, you're going to trade up and get a guy who would have been a 10th pick last year? Good for you. Like, it's funny how, okay, so there was a mock draft I was looking at the other day, talking about it with Craig Burnback on the Blazer Focus podcast, and we were going through the comps that I think it was Bleacher Report was listing for each upcoming rookie. So they're comparing them to past players, and none of them were compared to like stars.
Yeah.
Like Wally Szczerbiak, one was compared to Cam Whitmore, who was a 20-something pick last year for Houston as a bench guy. And so it's just a fact. Harrison Barnes, that was like one of the top comparisons, that players and then we were just like, that tells you all you need to know. No one's being compared to Dirk. No one's being compared to Kareem or Magic or someone, or even just someone like really, really good, but not necessarily all-time great. So like Cronin said himself, this draft is so blah, but so unpredictable and so volatile that it just creates all these opportunities to do things if you can identify the guy you want. So I do believe that if they truly identify a guy that they think is the guy, and at least the best guy they can get, and they can package 7 and 14 or 7 and Malcolm Brogdon or whatever and move up to get that player, I think you do it. What you're hunting for is you're hunting for Giannis. Because a lot of people compare this draft to 2013, I think it was, and that draft was considered pretty weak, and Giannis went 15th, right?
Yeah.
So that's the guy you're trying to find. Who in this? Because someone in this draft is going to be an all-star. Every draft is going to has a couple all-stars. So can you find that guy? So I think everything has some truth to it, but a lot of it's also smoke.
So is this just kind of one of those things that happen? Like every once in a while you just get a draft where it's just kind of meh? Or is there something more to this? Because I mean, we've seen kind of what college football is, or college football, sorry, that's on my brain right now, what college basketball has kind of become. There's obviously I think it's harder, even though teams are getting better, because when scouting Euro guys, because it's still kind of a crapshoot. What's the competition like? And then there's the whole G League Ignite thing that didn't quite work, because I think you have NIL now. So why would you go play in the G League when you can just go,
right.
You can go play at North Carolina and get a bag, and it's free now. You don't have to pretend like you don't have a bag anymore. Are those factors, or is it just kind of one of those things? Just sometimes you just get a bum draft.
Yeah, that's a good question. I haven't read or heard anyone talk about what maybe impacted this group. It sounds like it's just a randomly mediocre group. There's been no rule changes or things like that cause a certain pocket of players to not come out. But next year's draft is supposed to be loaded, right?
Yeah.
So what happened to make that draft loaded? Well, it's just players who just happen to be in that class. So yeah, that's a good question, but I haven't seen anything that would ignite me to even think that way. I just accepted it as what it is. Every once in a while, you just have a class that's just not very good.
This might be. I'm very interested to hear your reaction to this. So the Lakers going to take Bronny at 17?
I would be surprised. I mean,
this whole thing's ridiculous, right? I'm not the crazy one here, right? This is the Emperor's new clothes. Everybody he's an average at best college basketball player.
Right, and every scout worth a damn and has said that he's not even close to what you see, the 6'1" guard who's not a floor general point guard type player, and also is not a reliable shooter. So you can't even call him a combo guard because he doesn't do one of the two things within the combo very well. So what are you going to do with him? He literally is a G League guy. If I'm a team and I need a guard, I'm taking Skylar Mays over Bronny James all day. We all remember the legend of Skylar Mays, right? But why would you do it at 17? Right? Because all you have to do is because the only reason anyone would take him before your second round pick, I assume they have one.
Yes, is 50, 55.
If you guarantee LeBron's coming. Because to me, if the thing is truly LeBron's coming, whoever takes him. If I'm Memphis at 9 or Chicago at 11, I'm taking him. Because you add him to what their core is, and you have a contender. Obviously, Memphis better than the Bulls, but the Bulls, you put him on the Bulls, it changes them completely. You put him on Memphis, they probably win the title with Morant back and Bane and Jaren Jackson. That's a pretty sick quad right there. So, but I don't think it's that way. I think it's kind of been made clear that was all kind of garbage and that there's no certain teams LeBron's going to go to. So if no one wants Bronny, if Bronny's not a legit NBA player, then no one's going to draft him because they're not going to want him, especially if they're not getting LeBron. So just take him in the second round. So I don't see them using them 17 pick. Doesn't make any sense.
Aaron Fentress from the Oregonian joining us here on 620 Rip City Radio, not only from the Oregonian, but from the Talking Duck show. Countdown to college football kickoff. Don't really want to talk about football, want to talk about uniforms, Fentress, because that's one of the funnest things that you guys are doing is with this countdown, you then get some of the great players that played on Oregon when I was growing up, and our good friend Josh Wilcox, number 90. But I'm looking at the tweet. And you got the mesh uniforms from about 1994, 1995. And here's what I'm wondering, because baseball brought back the high socks, Fentress. Basketball brought back the short shorts, right? And they all wear tights underneath, but they brought back the short shorts. We need to bring back the mesh uniforms.
No.
Yeah, they got to come back. I could smell it. I still can smell like my mesh practice uniform from like 1996.
It did have a smell.
Didn't
it? Distinct smell. Yeah.
We got to bring them back.
I know what you're talking about.
Big shoulder pads,
but
mesh uniforms. One day,
the
one
huge,
throwback day.
The huge shoulder pads are hilarious. Like those big times have changed for those for sure. But the jerseys have changed because technology has changed.
I know.
The sock thing and the short thing, that was just style. But it brings me back, and that's what we wore back in my day with those mesh jerseys. It kind of brings it back like, wow, look at those things. But no, I'm sorry. That's not going to happen. But also, you can see that countdown is being done also on Oregon Live, and we're also doing it for Oregon State. We had Swancutt and Butler for Oregon State yesterday.
Bill Swancutt. He was a dude.
Bill Swancutt was a dude. Victor Butler, dude. Those two are dudes. And then we'll have 89 for both.
I believe
programs.
Bill Swancutt, Sprague. I think he's a Sprague Olympian.
Yep.
If I'm not
High
mistaken.
School, like all state and everything.
He killed Oregon, won Civil War. I was really mad at him. But here one last thing. Let me throw this out there. Because, okay, for one game, like Oregon's playing Idaho week 1. They're not losing that game. The technology does not matter in that game.
Right.
Just one game, bring back the big old shoulder pads and the mesh jerseys when you play like Idaho. You know what I mean?
If you're gonna throw it back, they do throwbacks, right? So throw back, you know what? I'm down for that.
There we go.
I'm down for that.
But like real throwbacks with big old shoulder pads and neck rolls. Bring back some neck rolls.
No, okay, faux neck rolls. You're not going to change the padding because the padding back then wasn't great. Come on, everyone has shoulder issues who played in that era. So that's
dude. I had the coolest looking neck roll. I had the cowboy collar. Did you ever have a cowboy collar? Or was that later?
Oh, I was a receiver.
Oh yeah, that's right. You were a receiver. You have a neck roll. You had like how many wristbands?
Underneath though.
How many wristbands?
Oh, dude, we used to get dressed like we were getting ready to go on stage with the new edition of Jackson's. It was crazy. We had double wristbands, gloves. We had towels. We would write things on our towels. It was insane. Okay. So at Portland State, we practiced on the old turf, and that turf was
like the carpet.
Waiting to happen. It was horrible in some spots, and people would get these nasty turf burns. I was completely terrified of getting a turf burn, like terrified. So I wore long socks all the way up past my knees, so my lower body was completely covered. And then I would wear. What we would do is, if you didn't wear a long sleeve, you'd cut a sock and then wear the sock as a sleeve. So I was rocking a sleeve on the arm like Iverson way before Iverson was born. No, he was born. But anyway, my boy, he was like 4 when I was doing that. We were doing that. And then you have elbow pads on top of it, and then wristbands, and then gloves. So there was no way I could get a turf burn unless, there was no way. My whole body was covered.
Sweet Newman gloves, too.
Wristbands were the great. I mean, you spent, like, me and a couple other receivers would just spend like an hour getting ready for practice, let alone the game.
You can follow Fentress on X, even though it might change back to Twitter there. I saw something over the weekend, but it's at Aaron J. Fentress. You can read his stuff at the Oregonian, OregonLive.com, Talking Duck Show, Blazer Focus podcast, all over the place, and on this particular show from time to time. Hey, Fentress, thanks so much, bud. Have a great week. We'll talk to you again soon.
All right, I'll meet you later.
There you go, Aaron Fentress, boys and girls. We have got the RCM mailbag to wrap up the big show next, 620 Rip City Radio. Hey, Toyota and us here at iHeartRadio, we need your help. All right, we're filling the truck with canned and non-perishable food items that benefit the Oregon Food Bank. So bring your donations and look for the specially marked Toyota Tundra at 2 different Fred Meyer locations. Saturday, June the 8th, down in my home, Roseburg. That's right, I've been in that Fred Meyer so much. And that's from noon to 2. And on Sunday, June the 9th, head down to Josephine County to the Grants Pass Fred Meyer. While you're there, and we're on a trip for 2 to the iHeartRadio Music Festival in Las Vegas. Hey, visit the events page at ripcityradio.com for a complete list of dates and locations to join us at Fred Meyer as we fill the truck for the Oregon Food Bank. It is time to wrap up the big show. Let's do that with the RCM mailbag. I will tell you this, Brenden. Normally, like when you leave for a week or two and we have somebody fill in, there's always that, not a worry, but like the thought that maybe one of the mailbag questions was already used. I can tell you right now, there's no questions that you have stored that Michael Shacker used.
Okay. So you want to give me a little tease there?
You know our good friend Michael Shacker, and you know how his brain works, and he went into like internet wormholes.
I love it. Okay. Yeah. I mean, good stuff. Starting up the mailbag today, I'm just kind of curious for you, Justin. Where are you at with June as a month? I only ask this because again,
I would say, can I say bittersweet? Bittersweet is where I'm at with June. Maybe it's just me, but I still feel like every one of us still has the brain of someone when they were in school age, children. I said that terribly, but you know what I mean? Snow starts falling, instantly think day off of school. Then nope, I'm an adult now. I don't get the day off. I got to go actually out in this thing. June comes around, instantly think summer vacation. And then you're like, no, I'm not a teacher and I am an adult. And so I don't get summer vacation. But I still think like June is still like I get very, very happy when June comes around. Then we get yesterday, which is an atmospheric river, and they call it the June gloom, right? So I would say I have a bittersweet relationship with June. I love summer. Summer is my favorite. Love summer. I cannot wait for all the fun summer stuff. I cannot wait to start wearing tank tops. Sun's out, guns out on this show is how we live by. But June's a teaser. You know what I mean? It's a tease. And so I would say I have a bittersweet relationship with the month of June.
And this question entirely came out of the fact that we had an atmospheric river in June, which I think was.
But that happens. You know what I mean? Like
an atmospheric river that's the first time in quite some time.
Do you think that's happened before, but we just didn't know what to call it back then? Because I feel like 4 years ago we didn't even say the word atmospheric river. You think it's a new weather phenomenon?
No,
or we just found a new name for rainy.
I've heard it for a while. I've heard it for a while back. I mean, I want to say
I don't run in the meteorological circles.
Probably not more than like 10 years old, but yeah, I'd say I've heard it for about 10 years. It's interesting.
There's two things. It's an atmospheric river and it's a polar vortex. Like two things I did not hear growing up, but apparently we hear every year.
And I mean, like, again, it's just, it continues to baffle me that we can have like something like that on Sunday, and then by the end of the week, it's going to be pushing 80s.
It's beautiful.
So,
yeah.
It's
like I said, bittersweet. I got a bittersweet. I expect June to be like, boom, it's here, summer, nothing but shorts and tank tops, right? And it's just not.
It's okay though, Justin. I wanted to give you a little taste, so I brought the Tropical Express rain back with me.
There we go.
It was I'll say this. It was a great time for me to take my trip because now as I come back, I'm looking to this beautiful, nice weather we have. Because, yeah, Justin, when they talk about perfect climates, Hawaii's pretty tough to beat.
You and I are different, and that's okay. That's why they say variety, spice of life. As much as I complain, I like the changing of the seasons. I don't know if I could live in the perfect climate. I was down in San Diego last weekend. It's perfect every day. It's perfect. Gets a little bit chilly, gets a little bit, but never too hot, never too cold. At some point, I think I like that we kind of earn the summer a little bit. Now, during it, I don't agree with that.
And
It's like eating vegetables. Like, I eat vegetables because I know they're good for me. When I do it, I would much rather be eating chips.
So you're saying it's good for you to live in a place that you, well, let me put it this way.
I think it makes the summers here much more enjoyable
Fair.
because of what we went through.
So you're saying the 8 months of suffering make the 4 months happier.
Boom. Yes.
There's some logic to that, I suppose.
As I'm going through it, though, I shall complain about it.
Like, there's some logic to that, I suppose. But yeah, very much. It's tough to not like those places that don't get much cooler at night.
know.
Like, Vegas is kind of the same thing, where it's like sometimes even warmer at night.
Dude, when I was on the East Coast, when I was in South Carolina,
Yeah, I bet.
it is hotter at night. And I was like talking to a guy there. He's like, yeah, the humidity in the daytime, the sun burns off some of the humidity, and then at night, the humidity just sits. And
That
there's
makes
no
sense.
sun there to burn it off, and so it's hotter. And I'm like, this is insane.
Okay. Let's move on.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see here. Ooh, yeah. Justin, are you I think I know where you're going here, but I think these are both things that you care about deeply. So this would be a good either-or question. You rather into reality shows more or a good scripted drama?
Well, reality shows are scripted drama now as it goes.
This is true.
I think still a well-written drama is my go-to.
Over reality? Because I know you
But
love
I
love
love
your
them both.
reality shows, man.
You asked me, and I don't want to. I don't duck the tough questions. The big voice said so I can't do it. But you asked me like first season of Yellowstone versus like maybe the best season of Southern Charm. They're both very good, and I love them both. I think I gotta go Yellowstone.
Ooh, I like
on that
it.
one.
Okay.
Like what's? I know you have high hopes for the new House of Dragon.
I hope so.
I'm in the we'll see mode. I again have no hopes for the new season of Yellowstone.
Oh, yeah.
What are you-
that's done.
What are you watching?
Me?
Yeah,
Right now.
it's a good show you're on.
Yeah.
I watched the new Jeff Daniels show on Netflix, where he's like
I was going
he's like Southern Trump.
Is
They
it-
made him Trump. They did. They did.
The reviews on that were so. I hadn't got into it yet. What's your early thoughts on that?
At first, I was like, this is such a bad Georgia accent that he's doing. And then I looked it up and I was like, no, Jeff Daniels is from Georgia. So maybe that's just actually what it is. I'm
Okay.
just so used to him being Harry.
But yeah, no, I'm kind of I'm in an awkward in between, Justin. All my shows come out this month.
Bears coming back.
Yeah, just kind of trying to rewatch some stuff. Like I didn't watch any TV on vacations. That was nice. But yeah, no, like June is my month, man.
So you got Bear coming back. You got House of Dragons coming back. What is there another one or just those two?
Show that I watched that I know you don't is come back on Prime. The Boys. I'm looking forward to.
I watch The Boys.
And
then you get college football coming out in July. You're done.
Yeah, and then
You shall see no sunshine. You'll be watching TV and playing video games all summer.
this may be
You're
true.
good. That's why you went to Hawaii. So I'm gonna get all the
I
sunshine
mean,
I need.
He might be cracking me open like an egg, folks.
And then I'm going to come back because I'm going to be watching TV and playing video games all summer long. All right. Also, we're going to be doing the show all summer long. Thanks to Aaron Fentress from the Oregonian. Thanks to super producer Brenden. Thanks to all of you. Have a terrific Monday. Have a great week. We'll talk to you tomorrow morning, 6:20, Rip City Radio.